Welcome, my friends. Here we are. It's not Drops of Light. It's Chat with Matt. Drops of Light I do on a Saturday morning in my subscription community. Same sort of thing. Goes a little bit longer. We go a little bit deeper. This is. I'm almost going to say it again. But this is Chat with Matt. It's Wednesday morning here in New Zealand. It is the 7th of October 2020. Still, we're here to answer any questions you might have. Hey, Sister Jane. We're here to answer any questions you might have. I have at least one question written in ahead of time, which was from last week, which I neglected to answer. And so it has been bumped forward or bumped on or bumped back or whatever. I'm going to answer it this morning. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to talk to it anyway. I'm just trying to find it now. Here we go. I found that poster as I was scanning through my posters thinking of something to put on. So I put the poster on as many people seem to be very proud of their humility. I find that quite funny, but it's true, right? I've come from, a background of various spiritual organizations where humility was something to be proud of, where there was almost a humble competition as to who was the most humble. Trying to out-humble each other. It is quite funny when you look back at it, but when you're in it, it's quite real. Because, yet again, it's another perception of how spirituality is measured. We're measured by how humble we are. That means we're more advanced as a spiritual being. And of course, we all egos all want to think that we're more advanced. So we take on the characteristics. We maintain a persona of what we think we're supposed to be. Of course, this is still going on today for me, not so much in humility, but in all sorts of ways, maybe not as intense as it once was. Maybe I'm achieving a little bit more balance or awareness around this desire for the ego to maintain a persona that we perceive is correct, what other people want us to be. I put my hand up and say, hey, my name's Matt Andrews. I'm a recovering people pleaser. It's been 2 hours since I pleased my last person. It hasn't been that long, actually. I think I was just doing a little bit of pleasing about 10 minutes ago before I got on this call. It's the truth, right? People pleasing is a habit that dies hard. Anyway, the point being is there's no rights and wrongs. And it's very, very normal when we're in a human body on this planet, in this society, for our ego to be always manipulating and contorting how we show up so that we appear to ourselves to meet the expectations that we believe is most likely to maintain our survival and our success, right? Survival first and foremost, right? That's very important. But success is also basically linked to survival because, hey, Sister Kelly, because we desire that. Curious about destiny script before born, soul creating experiences so can't get it wrong versus concept of manifesting. I'm gonna find myself here. I've got to read that question though. Yeah, it's an interesting balance. That is an interesting balance, Sister Kelly. And I will talk to it once I find it and read it correctly. Here we go, here's me. Curious about destiny/script before born, soul creating experiences so can't get it wrong versus concept of manifesting. Does that make sense? Yes, it makes perfect sense. So, in my opinion, the soul, these destiny scripts are not so much a script as in how you will respond to situations, but more or less a playlist of situations that will arise, to give you the opportunity to explore various themes. So you might, organize before, hey, Sister Ursula, before incarnating, you might organize to have certain experiences with certain people, but that is not a script whereby your moves are already mapped out, where your responses or reactions are already mapped out. You have the opportunity to respond and act in whatever way you feel appropriate in the moment of now to the situation that has been pre-orchestrated. So from that, you manifest your happiness. You manifest how life evolves around you as you go through these various experiences, which you might call tests, or you might call lessons, or you might just call experiences that you have as a higher being sort of organized beforehand? Can you reorganize what you've already organized before you incarnated? Yes, I believe so. I don't believe anything that is preordained is set in stone. So I do believe souls or higher selves renegotiate, if you like, the contracts they might have with other souls, either pre something happening or during something happening, and it doesn't need to work out exactly the way that it was envisaged beforehand. But at all times, you have free will to how you as a being respond to that, and thus you manifest the reflection of how you are being rather than what is happening to you. You know, that's the option. That's the opportunity for us all, is to step beyond what is happening to us, because nothing really happens to us, but what's happening around us. We get to choose how we respond to that, and thus, you know, our happiness levels and our, you know, feelings of purpose and our ability to maintain a form of relaxation through whatever situation is unfolding. Does that make sense? Does that help? I am not going to forget to answer Natalie's question, by the way. It's tempting. Maybe I'll go there right now, and then Kelly, you can write in and I'll bounce back to that if you need to. So here we go. I put it in. Someone else asked a question too, which was Judith asked how to deal with major loss. I'm going to skip. I'll jump to that as well after I answer. Gwenny wrote in something. You can't really deal with loss until you start speaking to that person out loud. That's a little bit of a strong belief, Gwenny. I think we can deal with loss in many ways. I don't think it necessarily means to speak out loud to them. But anyway, I'm always one to challenge anyone's belief that sounds like it's the only way, because I know well enough that there is no only way to anything. There is no only way to anything. There's multiple ways to succeed at any particular experience unfolding or situation that we may find ourselves in. Anyway, Natalie wrote in last week, and I didn't get to it. Yes, I agree. So this was the poster that I put up last week was something about, I've completely forgotten it actually, so I have to scroll down. I know I can see the picture, but I can't remember the words. And she said, I completely agree to the first part of it. I'm scrolling. What goes on in our group during the week? I choose to know that the discomfort that I feel is just the past being released from my energy field as a result of the empowered choices I am making to align with my expansive light and step forward with authentic confidence into inspired action. So basically, I choose to know that the discomfort that I feel is just the past being released. So Natalie agreed to that and then went on to say, yes, I agree, but struggling on an emotional level at this moment to not identify with the feelings that you're feeling, right? I have a strong feelings of hate coming up in relation to a particular relationship where a charming person has treated me badly, but others do not see it. I am feeling all righteous and bitter. I know it does not serve my highest good. Any wisdom on how to detach and not want revenge when hurt? Yeah, so again, as I started this conversation today, it's very, very normal for our ego to want to take the higher ground. It wants to maintain a persona in whatever way that serves it, that helps it survive and potentially thrive. So it's very, very common to get righteous. Our egos, it's a very common saying that's unfortunately very, very true, that our ego would much rather be right than happy. We will sacrifice our happiness in order to prove our rightness very, very easily, very, very commonly. I know I find it myself that there's a part of me that struggles to let things go when I feel that it's unjust or I've been, treated badly or it's, unfair. So I should prove, to the world, to God, to something, I should prove that the other was doing the quote unquote wrong thing and they were doing the wrong thing to me. it's a bucket of suffering, right? It is a bucket of suffering, because as long as you play that game, you hang on to the pain, right? You hang on to the pain of being persecuted because it's like evidence. It's like evidence that you're going to present in court to prove that that person did the wrong thing because it hurt you, and they shouldn't hurt you, right? It's against the rules, right? I'm a sovereign being. You have no right to hurt me, right? But the point is, no one hurts you. People just give you the opportunity to feel hurt. And I know that's hard, and I know you can argue, yes, but they did this and they did this and they really meant to and they're really evil. And I get it. But ultimately, still, it's an external situation, and you have the choice to respond to it with whatever energy you choose to bring to the table. And it does not need to be hurt. And I'm talking for someone who's carrying lifetimes of persecution energy that has hurt me very deeply and is still creating discordance in my field, right? And I know many of you are exactly the same. Many of us who are in this group have shown up, through various timelines here in our sort of recent-ish past, last few thousand years on this planet as a being of light to be present. And we've been persecuted. A society has not appreciated who we choose to be. And we've experienced these situations that have left us with a lot of pain and a lot of trauma. We could have chosen not to take on pain and trauma in those experiences, but the persecution energy was so strong that we couldn't manage to. So you're not a failure. The point is, Natalie, you're not failing when you are wanting to get revenge. But the practical way forward to start with is to bring awareness. Now, you already said you know it's not serving your highest good. So now it comes down to, do you have enough dedication to yourself? Do you have enough devotion to yourself to choose what does serve your highest good? Or are you going to allow your ego to keep running the show and want to prove that it's right? It comes down to a choice point, and it's a choice that we get to consciously and consistently make and remake, because we can choose to let it go in 1 minute and 10 seconds later we've picked it back up again, and we get to take another big breath and let it go. So practically doing our meditative practices, raising our vibration, maintaining our peace, maintaining or engaging in situations that are more reflective of self-love and self-appreciation are going to help you move through this process more effectively. There is no real magic bullet. I've got various light language things that can help you relax and surrender these pains from the past, but ultimately you have to make a choice whether you're going to allow your righteous ego to keep running the show and keep putting you into these stress states. Because when you feel that someone's done something wrong to you and you feel that you need to draw others' attention to it because it seems so unfair and no one else understands, and you need the sympathy of others, and these people were so charming and no one else could realize how much they were abusing you and all of the rest of it, right? The narrative keeps you in a state of stress. And in that state of stress, nothing really shifts for you. You can't let go of the pain because you're so stressed about the fact that the pain was wrong. When you can relax into surrender, when you can relax into acceptance that the situation that you experienced in the past is actually serving you, giving you another layer of wisdom to the depth of who you be, when you can relax out of making it wrong so that you can actually effectively let it go, then you're going to be much better off. One of the tools and techniques that's very, very powerful is to use forgiveness. Right? Now, forgiveness is not a mental process where you go through and you justify what they did based on, well, they did this and it really hurt me, but I know it was, developing, this was making me stronger you don't need to go into that mentality. You don't need to go into that mentality of trying to prove that what they did or justify what they did in your mind. There's none of that needs to go on. What's that word? Forgiveness is interesting when you lose the main word. Forgiveness is not a mental process, it's an energetic one. Forgiveness, I like to see forgiveness as a beautiful presence, a deva, a goddess, right, if you like, of unconditional love and compassion. She's a beautiful, in my mind, a beautiful sort of soft pink energy that comes in and basically just soothes and lubricates the process of letting go of pain. Letting go of the judgments that other people have done things that were wrong, letting go of the judgments that I've done things that were wrong, letting go of the judgments that what I've done wasn't up to par, that I failed, that I didn't handle it correctly, right? Letting go of all of this judgment energy, because judgments maintain pain. They maintain it. Because when you're holding a judgment, then the pain is held as kind of evidence, supporting evidence that your judgment is correct. Right? Oh, they did the wrong thing. The way I prove that they did the wrong thing is I got hurt. If I got hurt, then they must have done the wrong thing because they're not supposed to hurt me, right? That's a mentality that we maintain. So any pain then is used to justify the judgment that someone else did the wrong thing. And so we hang on to the pain. We hang on to the pain. We basically poison ourselves through these judgments that we hold. You know, a lot of people talk about, you know, you've got to let go of your judgment. Judgments are really bad. It's not bad in the sense of that God is judging you for being judgmental, right? Right? That's how people think, though. They think God will judge them if they're judgmental. Like, how crazy, right? God is not judgmental. There is no judgment. So, judgment is not bad from some higher powers ordained that it's bad and therefore you should stop doing it, otherwise you won't succeed. Judgment is just non-beneficial. That's all it is. It's not bad. It's not wrong. Judgment's not wrong. You're welcome to be judgmental, but it's not benefiting you. That's the point, right? So it's, if you want to move forward easily, then you allow yourself to let go of judgments. And the way that we do that is we bring in vibration of forgiveness. We allow ourselves to expand. We allow ourselves to relax. We allow ourselves to feel love instead of feeling hate. Hate comes from the division that someone else is taking something from you. It angers you and you turn it into hate. You direct your anger at a person because you believe they are robbing you of your ability to be happy. They're robbing you of your ability to be comfortable. So, and of course, it's complete bullshit. No one can rob you of that. Oh yeah, they can create situations that make it hard for you, but they can't rob you of it because it's always your choice whether you are happy or not. It's always your choice whether you find a level of comfort in difficult situations. Now, it's okay to be aware that someone is continually creating a situation that is making it hard for you to enjoy your life. And then you can take inspired action as to how you deal with that, whether you move away from them, whether you confront them, whether you maintain your boundaries, whether you do some massive energetic clearing on a deep past life, higher self level to release the energies that are keeping you entrapped or entangled in that relationship and in that circle or spiral of behavior that is making it hard for you to be happy. But all of that happens from a space of grace, if you like. It happens from a space of relaxed understanding and higher thinking. It doesn't happen from the contraction of they're wrong and I need to fix it, right? Because the more that you get stuck in they're wrong and I need to fix it, the less capacity you have to actually allow the energies to shift that are keeping you entangled and contracted in this ideology, in this belief that they've done the wrong thing and they've persecuted you and now you need to prove that they're wrong, and you get all righteous and high and look at everyone else and then get frustrated and angry and feel that the world's not fair. And it's true, the world's not fair. It never has been and never will be. Fairness is a fairy tale. Everything is a reflection of the energy. That's all. It is all very mechanical. The world is very, very mechanical, but we just can't understand the complexity of the mechanism that energy is reflecting and bouncing. But the basic principles are the same. Nothing can ever be wrong. It's all just a reflection of energies, and you get to take your responsibility to maintain your energy and project your energy, radiate your energy in us, and thus influence the world that you live in. No one is the victim of this world. We all get to influence the world that we live in. I know we look out at the world and we look at the political figures and the various personalities that are doing this and that and instigating them with massive amounts of wealth and how they're enforcing their point of view on the world, and we think we're the victim of all of that, but we get to choose. We get to choose how much all of that influences us and affects us. And I know it's hard when you get into the nitty-gritty of the narratives and, well, maybe they're going to force us to do this and maybe they're going to force us to do that. None of that helps. Your job is to advocate, to hold strong the vision for your future, the future you are choosing, and from that space to take actions that are aligned with the vision that you're holding. And from there, we will influence the world in a much more effective way than getting angry and righteous and trying to fight, because none of that helps. None of that helps. What we fight against, we feed, and what we feed will grow stronger. So when you are fighting against, in this righteousness, the fact that this person did all of this stuff and no one else notices it and when you're fighting against that, when you're holding that narrative strong in your head, you are feeding it. You are feeding it. You are feeding him. You are feeding, I presume it's a him. But anyway, you are feeding all of that, and it doesn't help you. The more that you can relax, the more that you can come back to what is your highest outcome, Natalie, and then be willing to take steps, as difficult as they are to take, right? It's not easy to step past our ego. It's not easy to drop this stuff. Our ego really, really has a bent on wanting to be right. And so it takes, compassion for that poor little ego part of ourselves wanting that outcome, and just to say, sorry, ego, we're just not going to get that outcome, and it's not serving us to try and hold on to wanting that outcome. Let's let it go and just be happy. Let's move on. Let's find our truth. Let's get into it. Anyway, got a question from Chris. Did you want me to answer that on here that you wrote in on the messenger? I can. I'm going to jump back to Kelly though, because I haven't. Let's get back up into Kelly. I think I've done it, Natalie. Hopefully that serves you. Obviously, I don't know if you're listening live, but I'm happy to keep bouncing off it, even if it's next week. I will state my normal caveat right now, which is anything that I say, we say, is not the absolute truth. And I'm not here preaching from the mount. This is the way you should think, or this is what you should do. Our intention in showing up and doing this call and every other call that we ever do is to facilitate transformation. And for some of you, you're going to get triggered. For some of you, you're going to have an aha moment and agree totally with what we're saying and see it in new light. And to others, you're going to resist and fight it. And it all is fine. I'm not encouraging anyone just to believe what we say. I'm not encouraging you to act based on what we say. I'm encouraging you to inquire, and I'm encouraging you to allow a process to unfold for you, because I might just be triggering stuff that needs to come up in order for you to find your own way. And that is, I'm very, very happy with that, and I apologize if you're uncomfortable in it. But I just want to make sure that you understand that we do not pretend to know the truth, and we don't pretend to think that we're important enough to indoctrinate you into our truth. Okay, Kelly said, I agree with what you said, free will on responding, but then how does that relate to manifesting, which feels more intentional? For example, rather than manifesting the place where I'm living, I feel I just tapped into what was already coming to me. I did a vision board of it, but I feel the process of doing that was just to get me to calm and trust when I saw that it was the place planned for me. What's wrong with that, Kelly? I don't get it. Do you just want to know because practically, why does it matter, right? You manifested what was predestined for you, but you could have mucked it up, right? You could have failed to manifest that because you might not have done the vision board. You might not have done the homework, and you might not have recognized the place that had been pre-organized for you. So what's the difference, really? All that really matters is that you get outcomes that are serving you. And so we're not here to prove that we're good manifestors. It's not here about proving that we've done it or not. We're here to live our best life and our highest expression of self. Some stuff has been pre-organized, some stuff we manifest on the fly, but even stuff that's been pre-organized, we still need to step into it and accept it, and that takes quote-unquote work, and it does take intention. If we don't have the intention to, and maintain the intention to allow our best outcome to keep unfolding, then we quite often will miss many good things that we pre-organized before we came here, because we will not be in a space where we can accept it. We'll be too caught up in our own trauma. We'll be too caught up in our own stress to actually allow good things that we organize. Because it's not just that our souls got together and organized a whole heap of challenges for us. We actually organized a whole heap of helpful occurrences, meeting people who serve us, forming relationships with people that serve us, coming into organizations that serve us. We ordained a lot of stuff. We set pathways up to have a lot of opportunities. Then whether we or not accept it is up to whether we can manifest that with our intention to allow ourselves to have these good outcomes. So both are working intertwined. There's not one or the other. So I would encourage you to relax out of needing to manifest something from scratch in order to, like, my intention is to manifest this and it hasn't been pre-organized. It's kind of like, so I don't know. It's an interesting topic. I haven't quite bounced up against this before. And yeah, potentially there's other people who are kind of dancing in this idea of whether I'm manifesting or whether I'm just living my destiny. And it's always kind of both, and it doesn't really matter. And it is quite malleable. Even the stuff that is preordained can be changed as it's going. The point is never to feel disempowered. That's the point. That's what, that's what our big thing here. Mantara's big thing is to empower people. So anything that's been pre-organized, you still need to be able to step into it. And so it still does require you to be empowered in the moment. It requires you to be able to receive it. So never feel that, you're kind of just getting washed along by life. You are interacting with life every step of the way, every breath you take, every thought you have, everything that you allow yourself to align with energetically. The feelings that are arising in you, of course, are arising to, potentially be released or worked with or that. But you get the choice as to whether what you entertain, you get the choice as to what you align with, you get the choice as to where you're setting your intentions. Where you're setting your intentions is making a huge difference in how things are coming to you, whether they've been pre-organized destiny or not, right? Your intentions are basically the rudder on your ship. And if you're not managing that, then it doesn't matter what good things or bad things you've organized in the past, it's not going to work out the way that it was supposed to if you're not maintaining intentions. Supposed to, funny word to say there, Matthew, the way that could benefit you the most if you are not maintaining your intentions to have good outcomes. Chris, didn't know you were on live. It's okay to answer here. Okay, well, I've got a few minutes. So, hey, Sister Deb, let's, I haven't even read it yet. So it could be a can of worms that I wasn't prepared for. Anyway, Chris wrote in via Messenger. Interesting question for you. Don't know if you can answer it. Oh, this is really good, isn't it? I've always been an emotional empath, but now I'm getting physical symptoms that mirror other people's. It's physical. Is it physical empathy or are these symptoms mine? I am not going to reinstall the energetic filter just in case. I am going to reinstall the energetic filter just in case. Okay, so great question, Chris. And of course, what's yours and what's not, right? What is you, when it comes down to this question, is this mine or is it not? People have this question all the time with stuff that they're feeling. They think if they ask the question, is it mine, and they get no, then they can let it go more easily. Great. That helps people let stuff go. But the point is, you are everything. So what is not yours at the end of the day? So it comes down to, where do we draw our own boundaries? Where does our perception finish for what is ours? That's the point. So if you are having energy, if you are having symptoms mirror in your body based on the fact that you're clearing it for someone else, is that yours to clear or is it theirs? Is it a wrongness to start with? I do this all the time, by the way. I don't actually publicize the fact that I run people's energy for them and I have physical symptoms in my body basically for my clients, but I do. The point is, I don't suffer through this. And it only happens when my higher self ordains that it's the right thing to do and it's the most beneficial for everyone concerned, including myself, because my happiness is in having a more expansive society to live in, right? So I recognize that my happiness will never be completely self-centered. So my society includes my clients, and many of my clients come with stuff that on a higher level, my higher self recognizes that where they're at, they're struggling to run that energy, that whatever's left over from their past is creating a significant enough limitation that they cannot overcome it in any effective way in the near future. So we will take some of that burden to help them run it. Well, some of that, only some of it, I will experience through my physical body. It's not a wrongness. Is it comfortable? Not always, of course. But I have come to understand that I am running a huge amount of stuff for society in general, for my clients and my inner community, and for quote unquote myself. Because anything that I'm running for either society or for my clients generally will have some link back to me anyway. Generally, it will serve me. It will trigger something that's hidden within me. And so while it might be something that's come from someone else for me to process for them, generally it will pull stuff from within me out as well to be triggered. It's kind of like when you're doing the work, your own stuff sort of slips along with it. I have this belief that whenever I'm facilitating for anyone, anything that I say is going to benefit me as well. Anything that I do is going to benefit, any clearing that I do is for me as well. I do not see myself in any way sacrificing myself to be of service for others, right? There is no sacrifice in my service. It is all a pure joy, and it is all beneficial for me to serve my clients, right? And to serve my society, and to serve my community, and to serve the cosmos in general. So the point is, it's not uncommon to experience physical symptomology as we work from a space, from an intention to be of service, to help other people clear their stuff, because we're clearing it for us as well. So it's kind of like there's not a yes/no answer to this. It is physical empathy, and these symptoms are yours because you're feeling them. So it's a win-win-win. The point is, you will go through the process much more effectively if you don't contract around the wrongness of feeling symptomology that is aligned with someone else's experience, right? When you can trust that the process is working for you and working for them, and you can stay relaxed through the process despite the discomfort, then it will clear much more quickly, and you won't have the symptomology for very long, because that's the reason that you took it on, because you are in a space where you are much more able to run this energy through your field in a more effective way than perhaps the person that you are helping could. So that's the point. Your job is to stay open and allow it so that it can run effectively through your field. That will help them, it will help you, it will help us all. Now, the point is not to get contracted around your ego going, yes, but I don't want that, right? And because your ego is in a process of surrendering to your higher self. It's hard. So now we come back bouncing against this idea of free will versus destiny. Do we as the little ego have free will? Well, we do, but our free will is kind of whether we go along with the higher knowing of ourselves or whether we resist it. That's where our free will really is as an ego, whether we resist or whether we comply. You're welcome to resist. Your ego is welcome to resist. There's no thing wrong with that. Is it very comfortable? Is it very beneficial? No, but it's not wrong. It's not beneficial, but it's not wrong. You will find that you'll have a better time of it being alive on a planet in this body if you allow yourself to let go of that resistance from your ego. Hi, Sister Sam. So I'm sort of over time, and I've coming to the end, and I do have another call coming up in a moment. So the point is, my friends, is to recognize when our ego is in resistance and is sort of wanting to exert its free will on a situation and say, no, I don't want that because it's uncomfortable or it doesn't suit my expectations. But ultimately, when you trust in your higher self and you can allow yourself to surrender into it fully, and I'm dealing with this topic of surrender this month in the Mantara Transformation Empowerment Support Community, empowered in a surrendered way, surrendered in an empowered way, right? Surrendering in an empowered way, not thinking that it's defeat, because It's not, right? When we surrender, we just stop fighting. And when we stop fighting, we allow our energy fields to expand and we have a good outcome. The point is, when we allow our ego to stop fighting against our higher self, our God self, our divine self, then everything happens much more effectively and our ego actually can enjoy life much more. That's the irony. We're like a 3-year-old who thinks we know how to do it best when we really, really don't. And we can throw a tantrum wanting to do it our way, but if we actually allow ourselves to surrender and comply with the way our parents are showing us to do it, we actually find there's more joy in that, right, than trying to do it the way that we think we want to do it. It's okay. It's okay. We all need to learn our lessons by exerting our free will as an ego till we realize that our ego doesn't know that much, ultimately, right? And that the wisdom that we contain in the higher self is actually far more joyful for us to align with. That's a process of learning that only happens through experience. So it's never wrong to resist your higher self and to have a little egoic tantrum and to put your foot down and to do it your way. It's not wrong at all, but slowly but surely I will guarantee that you will learn that it's not that joyful, and that through experience you'll realize that when you do surrender your ego to your higher knowing, then you'll have better outcomes. But there's no rights and wrongs in this. It's not that God gets disappointed with you every time you exert your egoic will. You're welcome to. That's why you came into a body with an ego, to have this experience of dancing with an egoic will, till you get to the point where you realize the joy in the deeper sense of surrender. Anyway, my friends, I have talked and talked, and that's us for time. Hopefully I've answered your questions. I apologize if I missed something. It does happen. And we'll be back next week, same time, same place, for Chat with Matt. Bye for now, my friends. Namaste. I've got to hit the finish button.